Bye. Up next, we've got the beautiful, the amazing Porsché. Welcome to the building, Porsché.
I love it. Good morning, y'all. Thank you, Tina. Needs versus wants. Because I've been on one. I got to tell you. Miss Renee, I'm going to mute you for a second, okay? Listen, I've been on one when it comes to determining what I want versus what I need. And I've decided I'm just going to live a want life. That's what I'm going to do. I don't feel like I want to need anything. I think if we move through life with our focus on needs, we're always acting from a space of desperation, maybe even lack. I don't know. Maybe that's me doing too much, but I'm in my want era. I'm just gonna want everything. And the reason I want it is because I want it. Now this is all coming from the fact that I am right in the middle of 10x is greater than 2x, the book by Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. It's been blowing my whole mind. And I am living this 10x mindset, 10x lifestyle, and that's where wants trumps needs. And I'm really excited about it. But listen, before we get into it, hi guys. My name is Porsché Mysticque, still award-winning book coach, TEDx speaker, and independent publishing strategist. And I don't have a need, oh baby, but when I tell you I have found a want, and I'm really excited about it. Now, I'm actually doing this a little bit differently. We're currently live on YouTube and Instagram. Yes, at 6 o'clock in the morning over here on the West Coast. I'm saying we're doing all the things, and I'm really freaking excited. Now, listen, for those of you who are watching on YouTube and Instagram, guys, we're live in BWC, Breakfast with Champions, on Clubhouse. Get the app, do all the things. And if you're like, I don't know what that is, just go to bwcdaily.com and learn a thing or two, okay? Now, let me tell you guys what happened. We're going to backtrack here. I'm going to tell you what happened a couple of weeks ago that blew my whole mind. And I have to say, shout out to my baby sister. My baby sister, she's 20 years old. She's going to be 21. I love her. And I'm very excited for something that she did for me. So back when we were living at home, many of you know the story. Unfortunately, we were oppressed in every capacity. Wasn't allowed to date, wasn't allowed to go to school, wasn't allowed to do anything, right? And outside of books, my other form of escape was music. Now, I had this iPod mini that I loved. My whole life existed on that iPod. So when me and my elder sister finally broke away and we left home literally at 3 o'clock in the morning, this was July 11th, 2019, we took what we could carry and we left. But that meant that I had to leave a lot of stuff behind. And one of the things that I left was my iPod. Now, I had gotten this iPod, this was, I would say 2008 when I got that iPod. And me and my elder sister left in 2019. So you can imagine, for somebody who didn't have access to the outside world, that iPod was my life. Every song that dictated how I was feeling really helped me get through what I was dealing with, right? And so I had playlists galore for when I was really down in the dumps. When I met my husband online, of course, he was my boyfriend at the time, but when I met him in Nigeria, well, he was in Nigeria, I had a whole playlist dedicated to how I felt about him. Had about 15, 20 songs in it. And these are songs that he liked or songs that we would listen together while the rest of the house was asleep. But this iPod contained just about every emotion, every thought, every painful experience. I used my iPod to get through that. So that was one of the things that me and my elder sister left behind. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago, my baby sister hits me up and says, Porsché, you won't believe what I found. And I was like, what? And of course she says, it's your iPod. Now, if you guys are watching this on YouTube and Instagram, you can see it right here. This is my classic iPod mini that I got from 2000. I got in 2008. My sister found it, and of course, it was dead. We didn't have the charger. There was no headphones. We had nothing. So immediately hop on Amazon, and I'm like, I gotta order this. So I ordered the charger, ordered some headphones that I could plug into it, charged it up, and lo and behold, there it was. All the songs, all the playlists throughout my early adult years, me coming in to myself, it's all right here on this device. Now, I have been hooked. I got to tell you, I have not been streaming on Spotify. I shut down my Apple Music. I've just been stuck listening to all the music on my iPod, and it makes me feel so good. But here's the thing, though. Having this iPod back in my life made me realize something. The future of books and technology as a whole, I think, is shifting. I think we're going backward. Let me explain, okay? Having this iPod in my hand made me realize that I am spending way too much money on subscriptions. Netflix just increased their rate. I don't even know what it is. I just keep getting emails saying, "Hey, you haven't paid the subscription." That's because I turned my card off so it couldn't be charged. Netflix is up, HBO Max has gone up. Me and my husband, we have Spectrum. That subscription has gone up. And through Spectrum, we get access to all these other platforms. But it doesn't matter. The price is still going up. And now we're paying for the streaming services that includes ads. So you can imagine how I have been deeply in love with my iPod. No ads or commercials, no skipping, no subscription service, no nothing. I could just sit and listen to the music that I downloaded years ago. Partial ownership. We don't own anything anymore. Now, I've been frustrated with this for a while. So I'm back on my iPod having a good time. But when I'm scrolling through social media, I'm seeing that a lot of people are saying the same thing or discovering the same thing. Just yesterday, I saw a post of a woman who also had the exact same iPod that I did. It was just a different color. She's also going back to her music, and there were thousands of comments on her post where people were saying the same thing. And it's not even just that. In general, we are moving back to old ways of consuming content, including print media. There was another post that I saw where we're really getting back into getting print magazines and print newspapers. Yeah, people don't want to consume content digitally, or at least when it comes to news. And so it made me think, in the publishing world, in the world of books, are we seeing something similar? Because over the last 5 years, I often hear people say, "Oh, isn't print dead? People are still buying books. People are still reading books." Now, that always amazes me when somebody says that, because I'm in the entrepreneurial space where everybody and their mama reads books. Like, books is a huge thing in the circles that I move in. But I guess outside of my little bubble, the average person isn't reading books anymore, or they aren't reading books anymore, supposedly, right? According to the comments that I'm hearing all the freaking time. But we're starting to see a shift even with the average consumer. So it used to be, and even right now, I guess it's still the case, but the number one format that sells the most for books is audiobooks. Right now, audiobooks is still dominating the publishing industry. More people are listening to books than they're reading them. Now, just 2, maybe even 3 years ago, it was audiobooks and then ebooks. Ebooks was the second most consumed format of books. And then third was print. So print was last. But today, ebooks and print have reversed. So we're now seeing more book sales for print than we are with ebook. Now, print is still not outselling audio, but I do imagine they might. With this resurgence of analog, everybody going back to analog, I do believe that within the next few years, we'll be back to having print outsell audio. That's just what I'm thinking, though. Pause here. I want to know, how are you guys feeling about the whole return to analog? Is anybody else vibing with that? And while we let people on Clubhouse respond, I'm going to let you guys respond on Instagram and YouTube. Oh, Chris, go for it.
I think there are a lot of good things about analog. Everyone doesn't hear it, but like, I think there are things that were easier when they were simpler. Like
Mm.
for your iPod, I'm so jealous right now. So jealous. Because that's incredible to be able to own and hold on to all of that music that still, feeds your soul today. That's incredible. I do think that with technology, some things have been like overcomplicated, but made to appear easier. So I think there's room for both. And I think that people just need to figure out what works best for them.
That's facts. I know it's interesting, right? Because I agree. People are going to have to figure out what works best for them. However, I'm looking also on the creator side too, right? Do we think that creators are also going to create from more of that analog space versus digital? Right now, Chris, you doing what you do best, being your business manager baddie, that's what I'm going to call you, your business manager baddie, doing what you do you feel like creators may be creating from analog versus digital?
No, I think it's going to be both.
Both.
There are some things that digital can enhance more than analog. I do. I think it's going to be both. I have one client that keeps, honestly, when it comes to like the social media posts, he goes back and forth on whether he wants, AI generated things or non-AI generated things. And then, there are some clients that are just like, totally embracing AI in a way that helps them be more visible, but also keeps that keeps a personal touch, right? Keeps themselves in it. So it's not like you're reading AI. There's a mixture of AI and themselves within it.
I see what you're saying. Now, okay. I don't think that we're going to completely get rid of digital, right? So I think, Chris, what you're saying, I think we're thinking the same thing. It's going to be a combination of both, like the AI human convergence, right? That moment where both can work together. And I do think that that might be where we are for both digital and analog. Anybody else want to chime in?
Hey, Porsche, this is Ramon. I just want to say that I think two things. I said this to Leslie George, I think earlier. You were probably still in your 7th sleep cycle, but that her event, 30 people, it's her dream vision event, her dream board event. Point is that it's intimate, it's small by design, it's analog, the in-person, and she can enhance it up the wazoo with taking photos and video. So I don't know if that tracks along with what you're saying, but that's my thought about analog and digital. I think both can coexist. Both can be done so well and cross-pollinate. I think that's what Chris was hinting at or saying very clearly as well.
Ooh, yes. Okay. You're going to take me down another rabbit hole because I've also been seeing that in the event space. Now we know, right? Post-COVID, everybody's like, we're done being in the house. We want more in-person events. So we saw an influx of all these in-person conferences, summits, and even intimate situations. Now, in my case, one of the things that I had been stressed over recently was that I felt like I wasn't really tapping into my creativity. I love what I do in my business, but it's been very technical recently. And I've been missing that element of being my full creative self. So I partnered with a friend of mine who's an interior designer and a creative director. He was originally the creative director for Ethan Allen, but he has a lifestyle brand. And it's an extraordinary thing to watch him do what he does to grow his brand. And one of the things that he said that he wanted to focus on, because he's watching the trends, he knows what's happening. He knew that in order for his brand to excel, he has to move more into the experience side of things. So he went from simply selling products, like he does lotions, creams, body oils, beard oils, laundry oils, candles, incense, and all that stuff, right? He knew that if he was only going to focus on just selling products, he was missing out on a huge piece and the opportunity to really expand his brand. So what he had to do was move into the more experience, even hospitality kind of space. So even though he's selling these products, he decided that he wanted to do intimate, smaller events. And so for me, I'm a social club member of his brand. So every month we have these small little events that we do. And I say small in that there's less than 30 people in the room, but it's highly engaging, very intimate, and it feels good. So he and I decided that we were going to have a conversation about what it looks like to bring me in so that we could collaborate, and we created the Journal Conversations. So every so often, we don't have a cadence just yet, every so often we bring in a featured artist of some sort. So they could be an artist in business, an artist in music, an author who's considered an artist. These are just people who are their most creative and innovative selves. We bring them in and we interview them, and we have kind of like a live podcast experience. It's amazing, it's intimate, and it's really engaging. Now, we had our first one last week and it was a huge hit. And one of the things that we had heard as part of feedback was that people felt like they really needed this, that they have been in low stimulating environments, but that also had the potential to be highly stimulating in the wrong ways, meaning they're at home by themselves, and the only time that they get stimulation is through their phone when they're on social media, but that's the wrong kind of stimulation that they're getting. So an event like that allowed them to be in a high vibration, high stimulation environment where it's intimate, you're having conversations, you're building real relationships, and it's engaging at the same time. So after we got that feedback, we knew, hey, man, we're going to have to do this over and over and over again, not only because it's fun, but because people need it. And that, for me, is a beautiful view of this whole iPod situation, where we're going back to the smaller, intimate moments so that we can truly connect and build real relationships. Now, that isn't to say that we're not going to the conferences where there's hundreds of people in the room. We're still doing that. But I think there's a huge need right now for us to move into these smaller, more intentional conversations and go back to being in person, being engaged, being in the room, and not being distracted. Now, Ramon, you are definitely in those spaces where you have hundreds of people in the room. Do you see a difference between those smaller, intimate, more engaged rooms versus the larger ones?
There's definitely a difference, but I don't think one's better than the other. Absolutely. And that's what I'm very firm on, but I'm happy to, someone to disagree with me. But I want to be clear, there's nothing better. But yes, an event like the Uncharted, an event like Entrepreneur, an event like Black Tech Week, all of these events I've been at with 500, 7,000 more people, the energy is amazing. The experience is amazing. The big stage is amazing. You feel good. You meet tons of people. I've met amazing connections at big events, and that's great. And though 20 people, 50 people in the room, and all of them are dialed to the same frequency, this means the randomness is less. That means everywhere you turn, it's somebody who's of high value.
Less random.
So that's the difference, I think, with a smaller event. Everywhere you turn is that perfect fit person.
Absolutely. Now, you're right. I guess there isn't really a difference between which one's better and which one isn't, because you can find connections and relationships in any room that you go into. But I definitely see a need for both of them. So thank you, Ramon. Anybody else want to chime in?
I think that with the smaller events, the more intimate, I feel like those are gaining more traction now, because I feel like people need to be heard more now than ever. They need to be heard. They need to feel like they're being seen. So I think that right now there's a greater need for the smaller, more intimate. Not to say, again, that one is better than the other, but I just see the need for the smaller ones more.
That's interesting, Chris, because I'm going to definitely agree with that. But I feel like that whole need to be seen and be heard. Let me ask you this actually before I respond to that. Do you feel like the reason why people need to be seen and heard is because there's a lot of noise on social media or out in the world? Like, what would you say is the leading cause of people feeling like they're not seen or heard?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's just way too much static, way too much noise.
That's facts.
Out there. And I think with the smaller events, people feel like they can get away from that. They set their phones down and focus on
setting your phone down as I hold my phone.
The event itself more because they have a better opportunity to share their story, their voice, etc.
Agreed. I think the whole putting the phone down is a part that's really speaking to me, because at the event that me and my friend, his name is George, me and George did, no one had their phones. Everybody put them down. Now, we originally were thinking of the idea of collecting phones at the beginning, but we decided, we didn't need to do that. But we didn't. We actually didn't need to, because no one had picked up their phone. It was only to take pictures, but it was such a huge conversation piece where we could engage in dialogue. People could chime in on what they thought or how they felt. And it didn't feel like you were fighting to be heard or to speak over somebody. So, I mean, sheesh, that I would say absolutely the need for smaller events is definitely there, because I feel like the larger events that I go to is more of a mass networking type of vibe, but not really a conversation vibe. When you go to those larger conferences, what are you doing? You're going to learn, network, maybe, build relationships, but having a dialogue is really difficult to do in those larger settings. And I do feel like dialogue is probably one of the most important elements of our general well-being. For me, at least, like, I require conversation. If I cannot have a conversation with the person, we can't vibe. It's not really going to go anywhere, because we need to talk. I need to know what's happening in your world, in your brain, in your mind. So definitely, I hear what you're saying. Anybody else want to chime in before we move on? All right, bet. Let's keep it going. Now, here's the thing. As I'm falling back in love with my iPod and I'm shutting down these subscriptions, I just got to say that right here, right now. It's time to shut these down, guys. Really, really quick. Let me just go on a tangent for a few seconds. The number of subscription services that I have right now for content that I'm not even enjoying is ridiculous. So it's time for us to start shutting these down and get back. For me, I want to get back into some of the analog things. But that kind of leads me into a small concern that I have. Let's say we as a society decide that, yes, we want to move back into the analog phase, meaning we're going to events more, we're switching things up. Maybe we're starting to remove digital elements from our business. What would that actually look like for your industry? Because I had to sit with this for a second, right? Let's say in my case, I'm in the publishing industry. So books and audiobooks and ebooks and all the digital components of writing, selling, promoting, monetizing, and leveraging a book, it really does require that digital touch, right? At this point, it's really difficult to market your book without AI. I'm just going to tell you that. Like, to sell your book, to play the game, to get your book to that next level, you're going to need technology at the end of the day. So I got to sit with this whole idea of what would my industry look like, or actually, what would I do if my industry decided that it wanted to revert back? So I'm going to give you the 3 things that I would do if the publishing world was just like, ayo, all this digital stuff, we're going to cut that. We're going back to analog. What would we do? So as I'm going through this, though, I want you to think about your industry. If your industry went back to analog, how would you adapt? What would you do? So in my case, the first thing that I would do is I would actually write longer books. I would have all of my clients write longer books, because right now our attention span is shot because of all the content that we're consuming on a daily basis. Like, they say that 0.002 seconds. You have 0.002 seconds to get somebody's attention when they're scrolling through social media. Like, that's friggin' ridiculous. Whatever it is that you're posting or doing, you have 0.002 seconds to get somebody's attention. That's insane. And because of that, our attention spans are really short. So much so that I have a friend who's a producer. And one of the things that he told me, and he's also a screenwriter. One of the things that he told me was that producers and production studios are now telling screenwriters that they have to write the plot in the dialogue every 30 minutes. So no matter how long the show or the movie is, you have to retell the plot of the movie in the dialogue every 30 minutes. Simply because people nowadays are watching movies and television on their phone, and they're still on their phones, right? They're watching it on their screen, on their television, but they have their phones in their hand while they're watching it. So they're easily distracted. So screenwriters now have to tell the plot over and over and over again, so that even if you look away from your screen to look at your phone, when you look back at the television screen, you don't lose the plot. You know exactly what's happening in the movie. That's friggin' ridiculous. That is so dumb. If you watch the movie The Rip on Netflix, right? That's that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck movie. That's exactly what they did. They had to retell the plot of that movie over and over and over again because Netflix knows that people are on their phones while they're watching said movie. Dumb. I hate it. That's horrible. But for me, because that's the truth, and I understand that we have short attention spans. If my industry went back to analog, first thing I'm going to do is tell my authors, write longer books now. Because now people have a longer attention span. We're shifting away from being so easily distracted. A lot of authors today are writing these short, teeny, tiny books because they feel like people aren't going to get through them. They're not going to be able to read them. Myself included. The CEO author is only 100 pages, and I did it intentionally because I knew that my ideal reader is a busy person. Don't want to write a whole Bible and ask them to read and learn from it. It's not going to happen right now. But if we were, go for it, Ramon.
Yeah, about the books and all that. I think is this because, Porsche, I think regarding books, and even going back to movies, with books, I guess, does it depend on the audience? I just read a person's book yesterday, read their PDF, and I read it just like the distracted person. It was a PDF, so I went through 300 pages in 5 minutes. But I'm just not going to read the detailed analysis of the beginnings of AI. Not going to do it. So meaning, I would rather, for me, as you kind of know me a bit, right? Short attention span, hype, surface level, in a fun way. My book is only for one reason, so I can have it, give it out into a copy out at an event. Meaning, my book Celebrity Feels Good. But you get what I'm saying? So meaning, but if it's supposed to be the tome, I think that's how you pronounce it, of the deep knowledge of how to mow your grass, how to build a house, or how to milk a cow, have that sucker be thick and detailed and transformative. So I guess my point is with books, I think it depends on the audience and who it's for. I like your input. And also movies. I'm not a movie expert, but as one who loves movies, I'm that type of person. I'm going to watch a Matt Damon movie or, all these kind of movies, my genre. He's shooting the terrors and it pauses and goes back to a love scene. He's rappelling down a roof. And then it goes back. When I was a little boy, my mama taught me, I don't care what your mama taught you. Go shoot the man. That's all I want to see. So it depends on who it is. My son, Porsche, he loves the intensity. Oh, Dad, did you see how they color corrected? Oh, my God. When he turned, his left boot splashed in the rain. You hear that? Splash. That's a cinematic. I'm like, son, I can't. So that's my share, Porsche.
Yes. Okay. So to answer the question, it absolutely depends on the audience, right? We're talking about today. Well, you're talking about today, right? Where we are with our attention spans today. Yeah. In this day and age, it's actually more beneficial to write shorter books, especially when you know who you serve. Again, I'm in those entrepreneurial circles. So most of my clients are writing books for other entrepreneurs or business owners or aspiring thought leaders and speakers, right? So that means that for those people who are already busy, writing a massive book is just probably not ideal. But if we were to start to revert back to analog, then I would argue that we should be writing longer books to help fix and expand our attention spans. That's what I think. Anybody else want to chime in?
Now you're talking my language. My books
my clients' books lately have been like 75 to 100 pages.
75 to 100.
My ultimate goal, for me personal, is to write a novel. But you know, a novel is what, 200, 300, 300, 400 pages. Just one of those deep, good books that like Oprah Winfrey would pick up and say, yes. You know, a little mix of 7 Shades of Grey with a little bit of, you know, child play. And, you know, like I really want to let my imagination flow. I also think I would probably get more of my authors to concentrate on writing their books if they weren't distracted by the phones, by the cell phones, by the noise that surrounds them, Porsche. Because who's going to sit, or who can sit without the phone? Like, I'm listening to BWC and scrolling on Instagram Reels. Like, how am I listening, watching at the same time? It's too much. I think we should go back to analog. If any of these, I'm sure, like people like me and Ramon, we remember really when it was like analog and you had circle dial phones. And everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The dial phone.
I remember that. You know, the thing goes in circles. The black phone. It was 2 digits back then. I remember when they moved to 3 digits. It was amazing.
3 digits.
Right. And so I think if we went back to that and we had less distractions, we can actually get our authors to sit down and even write that kind of novel without the distractions. So, you know, I'm team Porsche on this one, and like, how do we do it? Like, because I'm trying to just tell in my coaching sessions, I'm like, look, give yourself 2 hours, detach from the phone, the family, the job, and everything else go on. Write a chapter a day, or a month, a week, or something. But so many different distractions, and I'm, you know, so I'm with you, Porsche. Yes. I believe that if we eliminate the distractions, we can get more books done. Even if we had AI helping us, you still have to edit the AI. So, you know, you need to be away from the distractions. Put the phone down, people. Not after BWC. After BWC.
After BWC. Yes, ma'am. Man, Miss Malika, if you don't write that novel, though, I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm with it.
I'm going to do that book. That's going to be my novel. It's going to be my novel.
It's going to be the novel. I'm here for it.
You know.
Okay. So I totally agree, though, what you're saying, right? There's so many distractions. And yes, it's true. If we got rid of some of those distractions, we would be able to write better books, and the books would be a lot more full and maybe even have a bit more substance. Because right now we're in this age where you have to try to deliver as much impact in as little time as possible. But it didn't used to be that way. I mean, some of the most classic books are kind of hefty, right? But right now, we can't really do that. We just have to be honest about where we are. So I want to go to the chat really quick because Silent One, I can't see what your actual name is, says, really? I can't even have a convo in person nowadays thanks to this. That's crazy. That's crazy. And then it's true, right? It really does change how we interact with one another. And I think that's part of the reason why we're in this epidemic of loneliness, is what they say, right? They say that loneliness right now is at an all-time high simply because we're disconnected. But it's so ironic how we're disconnected in a world where we have never been this connected to each other. We've never had a moment where we could access somebody halfway across the world. I met my husband online, and he was, what was that? I don't even know how many miles. It was like 17,000 miles or something like that away. Like, it's just crazy how we are more connected now than we ever have been before, and yet loneliness is at an all-time high. That's insane. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. River says, I'm presently doing an analog project focused on holistic wellness and mindful behavior relating from within. Hashtag finding your North Star, tapping into the hidden potential of heart-brain coherence. Listen, River said, get rid of all the tech for my holistic well-being. We need to fix it up. Yes, ma'am. and yes, ma'am. Now, yes, silence is like War and Peace. Yeah, because like if you look at the books that people continue to quote all freaking day, they're massive. War and Peace is a huge book. Like, come on. For me, as I always talk about, my favorite book is The Alchemist. Now, I know it's a fiction book, but it's one of those books that fully changed my perspective on life and personal journey and even love, right? But it's a thicker book than most today, nowadays. And it's a book that changed my whole perspective. Now, I'm not saying that the current books that we have, even though they're thin, aren't impactful, but I would love for us to go back to those moments or go back to the time where books were thicker and it took more time to impact you. It wasn't just punchy. I'm often getting manuscripts across my desk. I'm usually looking at about 5 to 6 manuscripts at any given time. And what I'm seeing is that authors are writing in short sentences now. If you ask ChatGPT to write some form of copy for you or an email for you, odds are it's going to use really short sentences, short, punchy sentences. The sentences will be like less than 7 words. And we're seeing a situation right now where it's going to start the sentence off with conjunctions. Go back to 3rd grade grammar school. We were taught not to do that. Never start a sentence with and or but or because. ChatGPT said, nah, we're finna do all of that. We're bringing all of the incorrect, improper grammar mechanics, and we are bringing it to your writing style. And so now the manuscripts that I'm seeing are being written that way. Now, whether or not they're writing that way themselves or they're using AI to write the manuscript, that's for me to figure out. And if they're using AI, I got to send them back to the drawing board because we cannot publish a book that's AI generated. However, the fact that they're using these punchy short sentences says a lot about where we are. The average author believes that most consumers do well with these short sentences that deliver impact. But unfortunately, if your entire book is nothing but short, punchy sentences, impact is gone. It's gone. It can't come back because then you're not really giving value. Now you're just trying to be impactful. And we can feel that, right? I had an author that I had recently worked with. We did a book audit, and that was exactly what he did. Just about every sentence was like less than 7 words. Like, dude, that's not a book. This is a speech. But you have to remember, reading is different than speaking. And because the reader cannot read in your voice, they're going to read in their own voice. You have no idea how they're going to perceive it. So you want your sentences to be a little bit longer so that they can make whatever feeling they want out of it, right? So it's just an interesting thing to wait. Clubhouse is misbehaving. Let's fix it. All right. That's just an interesting thing to think about, right? Less punchy, more content, man. That's how I feel. More content. Okay. Malika says, and starting the paragraph with conjunctions. Exactly that. Standard grammar is out the window. It sure is. And it breaks my heart, man, because I'm somebody who loves English grammar. I do. I'm a nerd when it comes to that stuff. And so I started my career as a freelance editor, and I did developmental and copy and line editing. And it was incredible to be able to work up a sentence that was broken or disjointed or the idea wasn't completed. It was fun for me to kind of turn those sentences into something fuller with more information, more substance, and yes, even more impact, because short sentences does not automatically equal impact, right? So yeah, thank you, Malika, for that. All right, so the next thing that I would do if my industry reverted back to analog, remember the first thing I would do is write longer books because, hey, hopefully by then our attention spans are much better. Second thing that I would do is this is for my entrepreneurs, right? So for my thought leaders and authority builders who are writing their books to grow their business, I would focus more on printed workbooks and course material. So right now, your average entrepreneur who are like, yes, I have a book in mind, most of them also have in mind to do an ebook, a digital download, or a PDF, right? This is what we're using for our lead magnets. But if the industry went back to analog, I would really want my clients to print and sell their workbooks and their course material. And that includes like the stuff that you would have in online courses. So go back to when we used to have textbooks, we used to have these workbooks that we would work out of. That printed material really allowed the information to stick with you. Because in this day and age, everybody and their mama got an ebook. How many people are actually downloading the ebook and then reading it? And not only that, implementing it after they've read it. I can't tell you how many ebooks or free PDFs I've downloaded and never even friggin' opened. I never even opened the ebook.
You want to get some little share? Can I,
Go for it. Let's go. Let's go.
I mean, I have two beefs, one with you, Malika, and one with what you just said. But the beef with you, Malika, nobody cares about grammar. Nobody cares about punctuation. It doesn't matter. You all should just go get a room. Really. Nobody cares.
Wow.
One minute, please, Malika, please. Hold on one second. Let me let that stand, and I'll be quiet. In a minute. But then number two, what you just said, I mean, Porsche, nobody buys the CD. Nobody buys the T-shirt at the rock concert. Nobody buys any of that to wear, to listen to. As Seth Godin, see how I pulled that on you? I did a Seth Godin on you because I knew it'd give some credibility to what I'm saying. As Seth Godin would say, people do it for memories, for a token. That's what most, I'm guessing, do it. So, I mean, it's just, you get my point. So feel free, Malika, Porsche, respond. But it's just, my point is, people get these things. It's who's the audience. Some people get it. It's just, oh, I got Seth Godin's. You may have that portion if you got like that 20-pound, 30-pound book he wrote back in the day. I think I read it. Only one or two geeks and nerds. Maybe you read it, Malika. But the rest of us, we got that sucker, left it in the plastic wrap, put it on our shelf. And that's what I think what the stats say 80-90% of the people do. So isn't that okay?
No, it's not okay. And it's frustrating.
Oh, before you get on him, Porsche, let me interject. Let me ask you this question. Don't you want your book to read as intelligent as you are? Or are you
not more than I wanted to make sales and just be on people's shelves? Not more than that, no.
When I bought your book, Ramon, didn't you want me to learn from your expertise on how to be a celebrity?
I answered the question, Malika. I get you, and I'm breaking your heart. I answered the question.
Because your book was intelligently written, which is why I read it.
But you think, Malika, you're missing what he's saying. I mean, that's a bonus. That's wonderful.
But then again, that's true too, because people sell journal books. You open them up, and it's 20 pages, 100, 200 pages of just lines, and people still bought the book. So why would you sell blank books?
So it's a bonus and a blessing that you got so much from Ramon's book, but he's being honest about why he wrote it.
I mean, it's interesting because so I help assist women publish their books as well.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, it's about the sales, right? Chris, you said it best. It's a bonus that they read it. Yeah, you pour, the authors pour their heart and soul in it. But at the end of the day, for an author, is it more how many people read my book versus how many people bought my book? So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, okay. Let's peel back the layers. Okay. Because I feel like there's multiple parts to this. So to originally answer your question, Ramon, is it okay? Yeah, technically. Am I annoyed by that? Yes. I am annoyed by the fact that people pour a lot into books for them not to be read, for them to be keepsakes. Right now, I'm not against having a keepsake, but I'm against having a keepsake that you never opened, you never read, and you never learned from. That's annoying. But there's a second layer to this from the business perspective, right? We're always talking about book monetizing and book leveraging. You can make way more money with the content of the book when it exists outside of the book. Let me say that one more time. You can make more money if the content of your book existed outside of your book. So that's all the things that you're doing with it. The content of your book, you turn it into a course. The content in your book, you turned it into a podcast. You used it to book stages. You turned it into a signature talk. You did all the things. You turned it into a workshop or a program. All the things if the content of your book existed outside of those pages. That being said, we're having a conversation about if we went back to analog. We're not talking about how people consume things today, because today it doesn't make sense to print your workbooks and your course materials. But if my industry reverted back to analog, that's exactly what I would do, is print the workbooks and the course material. Now, going to the other layer, the intention behind why we published the book in the first place. So Malika, you were saying that how Ramon's book really did shift things for you. It helped. But Ramon's like, hey, I published this book for one reason and one reason only. I was going to maximize it and I was going to use it to open doors. It was an asset. That's why I published it. His intention behind it does not change Malika's view of the information or how it supported her or how it helped her. It simply changed how Ramon decided he wanted to push it out. So he's probably going to invest more time and money into leveraging the book than promoting it. Understand the difference between the two. Promoting the book is to get people to buy copies. Leveraging the book is using the book's content to create more things that could drive more revenue. Promoting the book is a small game, right? Trying to sell individual units is ridiculous, which is why most of the top people, the top authors, give their books away for free. I can't go to a David Meltzer event without at least getting 2 copies of his book. I got 3 copies of the same book because I've been at his events. That dude is always giving his books away. And so many authors across the board do the same thing. That's because leveraging is more lucrative than promoting, right? So all these different layers, but the conversation that we're having is, what would I do if the industry reverted back to analog? Anybody want to chime in on that before we move forward?
Agreeing with me, Porsche. That's all I'll say, Porsche. Thank you for agreeing with me. And she said what I said, so there's no argument here. Thank you for agreeing with me. And I think going back to analog, Porsche, and then I'll shut up, but thank you for the mic, is, even going back into the premise, like a rock concert. Never been to one, haven't been to many outside things like that. You know how I grew up. But just imagining it, isn't that kind of the aura, all the stuff at the event you go to, the goodie bags we get.
Yeah.
Going back to analog, you can say, ooh, I got this at a David Bowie concert. Don't even know who he is. Couldn't even recognize his face, but he's somebody famous. I got this at a Beyonce concert. If I'm tracking what you're saying, Porsche, isn't that kind of the feeling? Going back to analog, if there's no digital, people paid $400, $200, $39 for the ticket to your said thing. Now they get something to memorialize it. They get a stupid, cheap plastic mug. Your book could be the stupid, cheap plastic mug. So that's what I would say.
Yes. Okay. Wait. Now that's a whole different side, because now we're talking swag bags. Okay. So for conferences today, and we can talk about today, we don't even have to talk about going back to analog because we're already seeing this.
I wouldn't say I meant the principle of analog. That's swag bag. I didn't mean to deviate. I just meant the principle of analog, not social level. That's what I was saying. How could you use it analog? Please continue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like what you're saying, the whole idea that you went to this event, you're getting these goodies, and during the analog days, that's what you needed, because we weren't taking pictures and then uploading them to Instagram to say, ooh, look, I was here. And that becomes a part of our memorabilia, right? Those Instagram post is now our new photo album. That's what we're using to save those moments. Also, we kind of just want to rub it in people's faces that we was there and you weren't. Like at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. But even today, right, leveraging your book at those types of events is so, I would say, not necessarily lucrative, because it doesn't always translate immediately into cash, but it is helpful. So for me, I go to a lot of events, and a lot of these events that I go to have swag bags filled to the brim. Like when I tell you, especially like the content creator and influencer events, they give you a tote filled to the brim with just stuff. Now, why do they do that? Because they know that influencers are going to be at that event. The influencers are going to break down all the items in the swag bag. They're going to do their videos. They're going to post about it. It's really great. So for me, as somebody who is an author, I'm an entrepreneur, it very much makes sense to get an item in that swag bag. And the items that typically do well on social media in a swag bag is a book. Because while everybody else is doing like these little paper flyers, even myself, I had done bookmarks one time. Maybe you do like chapstick, maybe you have pens. The ones that always get the most engagement when influencers later post about all the items in the swag bags are the books, because it feels so different from everything else in the bag. Like you get this full book, like it feels more valuable than anything else. So we as authors, yeah, absolutely. You want to give away copies of your book and put them in those swag bags. It makes sense. It makes sense. Anybody else want to chime in? All right, let's keep it going really quick. Shout out to those who are watching on YouTube and Instagram. Instagram is popping right now. Thank y'all so much for being part of the conversation. If you want to comment, go ahead. Leave a comment right there and I will read it live. Be a part of the conversation. If you're not already part of Breakfast with Champions, I don't know what you're doing. Just go to bwcdaily.com, bwcdaily.com. Join the conversation. Get on Clubhouse. Be in the room. All right, so I'm talking about what would I do if my industry reverted back to analog. I said the first thing that I would do was write longer books because I would want to be the catalyst for how we get our attention spans back, how we expand them. Second thing that I would do is make sure that my clients printed workbooks and course material, because I believe that during that analog phase, people are going to want to continue to learn offline. If we're moving away from digital, they're not going to want the online courses anymore. They're going to want the printed materials. So I would say make that happen. The third thing that I would do, now, I gotta say, y'all, anybody who like goes back through some of my old content, you know, I'm typically not a fan of anthologies. Like historically, I have been anti-anthologies or collaboration books. However, if we moved back to analog, or if my industry moved back to analog, I would have all of my clients do multiple anthologies, like any collaboration book that you can get your hands on, because in the analog phase, that was a form of influencer marketing. Today, if you want to do influencer marketing, what you're doing is you're collaborating with somebody who has tons of followers, right? And you're asking them to maybe review your book. You're asking to do a live with them. You're asking to jump on their podcast. Basically, you're leveraging their platform and their audience. But in the analog world, where you don't have platforms, you don't have live digital audiences, what do you have? You've written materials. That's where anthologies would become very beneficial. It's your new form of influencer marketing. Now, I will say this. The reason why I was anti-collaboration books is because too many people were using them as a means to simply make money off of authors. And authors I felt, were using it as an opportunity to not do the solo book. Now, I know for some people it was like, hey, I just want to get my feet wet by writing the first chapter, right? This is a way for me to get into the space of writing. But I just feel like it's an excuse not to actually do the book. Now, I was all for anthologies that were being done by like influencers and celebrities, where it makes sense for an author to pay the money to be featured in that book, because that grows your brand exponentially. But for Joe Schmo on the corner who was like, yeah, I'm putting together this anthology, this is how much you got to pay to be featured, and we're going to get bestseller because everybody who's a contributor is going to buy a copy, and that's going to get us bestseller, and that's all you're really going to do with it. Most people who write in anthologies don't do anything with the book. So that's why I was like anti-anthologies. However, in the analog phase, if that is our only form of influencer marketing and collaboration, then by all means. Now I'm gonna pause here because I know we got some yeah. Go for it. No. Go. I like it. Go.
Okay. I respect your room here. But yeah, Porsche, I'm exactly with you, Porsche. I was like low key. I wouldn't say it amongst friends, because many people in BWC and our mutual friends, they are the leaders. They are the us, right? The influencers who put anthologies. I got my name all on it, and I got Porsche's name in 1-point font. So I was like, nah, that's for suckers. However, to your point, if that's all you got, it's your first thingamajiggy, go for it, but you got to market it. So I'm just echoing what you said. And I didn't like, though, people like say it's me. Oh, I got my first book out. Porsche's like, oh, no, great. Where's it at? Oh, yeah, I did it with Pookie and them. I mean, just be upfront. Like, don't say you got your first book, all the rigmarole. You all excited, like, oh, I got a book. No, you're in an anthology. You contribute a chapter. I get it. And let's remember, those influencers who don't promote it, Porsche, those people are evil people as well. Like, all they're doing is free labor. So I'm with you. Didn't like it at first, but I think you're right. If you promote it and that's the first thing or only thing you got and it's working for you, go for it, use it. But like, understand the game. When the influencer says, now can you buy 100 copies of the book each? You're just lying in your pockets.
Yeah.
And then, so that's all. Thanks, Porsche. Back to you.
That part. Go for it, Malika. What you got?
I thought it was a scam.
A scam?
It's a legit thing. It's a legit business.
It's a legit business. It's just a legit business because you do have to pay the person who's sitting there editing your chapters and putting it together and everything like that. But when I started seeing some ridiculous numbers to be part of this collaboration up to like $2,000, $3,000 to submit a chapter, you might as well pay to help and get somebody to help you do your own book versus paying $2,000 to be a chapter in somebody else's book and you don't have any rights to it. That was the scam part to me. That, okay, I get it. Because my first poem, I was probably 17 years old. I submitted it with $20 to an anthology. I became a published, poet. I was part of an anthology and stuff like that. So I get it. But nowadays, come on now, it's become another hustle. I just say that. And I'm not knocking anybody that do it because I don't knock nobody's hustle. But for me in my house, that's what I deem it to be.
Yes. And it is, right? Like, again.
But Porsche doesn't go along with somebody paying somebody $3,000 to get them to be Amazon bestseller.
Yeah, it has the same vibe, right? Because, okay, I do feel like there's a time and place for everything. Charging for Amazon bestseller, as annoying as it is, there's a time and place for it because somebody might say, okay, I understand how it works and I know it's super easy, but I just don't want to put the time in to do it. I don't even want to think about it. So then they would pay to have it done. And so I think with anthologies, it might be the same thing. If they're like, listen, I don't actually want to be an author, but I do want to have something that I've written published, then by all means, there's a time and place. It becomes a problem when the person, the curator, whether it's Amazon bestseller or the curator of the collaboration book, is like, hey, you can't do this on your own. Absolutely not. You have to go through me in order to do it. This is how much it's going to cost. And here are all the promises that I'm going to make and probably only deliver on one of them, which is we publish the book, right? Or like with Amazon bestseller, you hide how it's done. I've had people pay me to do the Amazon bestseller strategy, but I told them exactly how to do it. You know what I mean? They just paid me because they didn't want it done. They didn't want to have to do it themselves. So there's a time and place for everything. Does that make sense, Malika? Why are you giving me angry face? What happened? Oh, she disappeared. No. Okay. Well, let's keep going. Listen, time and place.
Did you hear me?
Go ahead.
Mad face in the X was for when you made the comment about the people who won't show you how to do it, or they're like, mine. You can't do anything outside of this space, but yet I paid you to be a part of this book, but yet you won't give me any rights to the book. That's what the mad face in the X was for.
Got you. Yeah, that part. And that's the other thing with anthologies. I think one of the most overlooked aspects of, maybe this will be our conversation next week. One of the most overlooked aspects of contributing in an anthology is that the authors or the contributors don't pay attention to the contract, or curators don't even create one. They're just like, hey, do you want to be in my book? It's going to cost $1,500. And then they just give you the payment link and that's it. Every collaboration book or anthology needs to come with a contract. It needs to say, number one, who owns the imprint and the ISBN. Number two, what are the rights of the contributors? 3, what does it actually look like to sell or promote this? And because that's something that most people don't even understand. They're like, well, how do I get a copy of my book? Right? Do I have to order them directly through you? Do I pay you for that? And then I can sell copies at whatever price I want. Like, there's so many aspects of a really solid anthology contract that we should probably break down because people don't know, or the curators aren't even creating them. But listen, y'all, I am approaching the end of my time. The conversation that we just had today was how finding my iPod, look at this, for those of you who are watching on YouTube and Instagram, look at my iPod. Shout out to my baby sister for finding it for me. But how finding my iPod taught me about the future of books and the future of analog. My name is Porsché Mysticque Show, award-winning book coach, TEDx speaker, independent publishing strategist. For those on Clubhouse, the link at the top is a link to my calendar. If you're like, Porsché, I hear all the things that you're saying about books, and I think I need one. I think I'm ready to publish it, or I have one, and it's not making money like you said it was. Listen, we need to get on a call and have a conversation. So click that link at the top. For those of you who are watching on YouTube and Instagram, make sure you go to bwcdaily.com to be part of the conversation, because I'm here every Wednesday, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. My time is up. I'm going to pass the mic. Wait, where's my people? Where's Nate and them? Where's Marcus and Nate?
Hey, Porsché.
Hey, Leslie.
I got a quick question for you.
Okay.
Where are you finding music to go on the iPod?
It was already there. I didn't add new music.
Because I'm saying, because now we can't get music, like, because I was just saying that to my husband, because I took out all of my tapes and all of my CDs, and I said, I'm going to figure out how to get this music onto something that I can listen to, because I'm done with paying this subscription. Okay, that's sidebar conversation.
Amen. No, I haven't gotten new music on it. I'm just vibing to everything else. I don't even know. I'm afraid to plug it in though. Like if I download, it used to be when you downloaded iTunes and you plugged in your iPod, if it was a new iTunes, it would clear your iPod. And I'm afraid that that's going to happen. So I haven't even plugged it into my computer or done anything. Where are my people?
Hey, Porsché, if you need to go, I'm sitting on a swing. I can run the room for a bit and do an open hours Q&A. Or if you're here and you want to keep running and keep engaging, let me know what you got to do. I know you're a busy lady.
Yeah, I'll let you take it, Ramon. Thank you.
Okay. Porsché Mysticque Show, thank you so much.
Thank y'all so much for watching. Clubhouse is still doing. Hold on.
Thank you.
What's she talking about?
The MP3
Oh, okay. They talking. All right. Thank y'all so much for watching. Listen, this is the Porsché Mysticque Show on Clubhouse, Inside Breakfast with Champions. Listen, we're doing this every single Wednesday, 6 a.m. Pacific. That's 9 a.m. Eastern. So if you're over here in California with me and you're like, listen, I need my shot of Red Bull in the morning. Hello, it's me. You need your coffee. You need your espresso. Just tune in, right? I'm here for you. I got you. Every Wednesday, we're going to be doing this live on Instagram and YouTube. Remember, go to bwcdaily.com. And if you're watching this and you're like, hey, I need a book, I need to do all the things, I need to make money with my book, and it's not doing what I wanted to do, make sure you hit me up. You can always text the word book to 901-205-9804, and I will be more than happy to assist you. Thank y'all so much, and I'll see you next Wednesday.